has just been issued.
Yeah, now we have two in place across our area as of right now. So here's what we have going on right now. Let's first talk about that tornado warning for those of you in Greene, Hart, LaRue, and Taylor counties. This goes until 5:45 a.m. Central Time. This just came out, was just issued, so we'll be keeping an eye on that. And we have yet another tornado warning in place. This one is for those of you just in the very southern portions of Grayson County. It's clipping our southernmost portions of Grayson County. And if you have any friends or family in Butler or Edmonson counties, that one goes until 5:45 a.m. Central Time as well. So we're keeping an eye on multiple sets of storms currently making their way into and through our area. But of course, our focus is the one that is moving through wave country and the severe thunderstorm warnings that we currently have in place across the area along with them. So let's dive into what we're seeing as of right now. We're continuing to watch those of you south of the parkways. This is where we have a lot more of that energy still going on as of right now because of that warm front to the north, very strong wind overhead, and these thunderstorms are able to tap into them. So let's just talk about what the radar looks like as of this moment. We have, of course, that tornado warning in place for those of you in very northern portions of Greene County into the very eastern parts of Hart County and southern LaRue County, and it does clip the northern parts of Taylor County as well, mainly talking about that severe thunderstorm warning that's just to the south of Litchfield as of right now. Litchfield, you're just fine, you're in the clear, but we're watching what's happening anywhere in between Magnolia and Campbellsville as of this moment. Remember, this goes until 5:45 a.m. Central Time. We have that potential for quarter-sized hail with this. We have that potential for 60+ mile-per-hour wind gusts as well within this tornado warning and within this thunderstorm too. So this is just a part of what we were watching earlier as it raced through portions of Grayson County. Thankfully, we didn't have any reports of any damage in this area, but this is one of those situations where we could have a spin-up tornado happen. So it doesn't last very long on the ground, but it can do enough damage. And even if you don't have a tornado in your area, those 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts could still cause issues all on their own. So that's something that we are continuing to monitor as we head over the next basically 30 minutes. So for those of you from Magnolia over towards Campbellsville, this is my area of concern. If you're anywhere in that spot, make sure that you are getting into your safe space as of right now. I'm going to try to zoom in a little bit more so we take a closer look at what's happening for those of you there. So for those of you closer in between basically Magnolia and Jonesville, right along 31 East, this is where we're seeing some of that rotation going on as of right now. And we're seeing some more of that heavy rain, that potential for some of that quarter-size hail with this as well. Now, keep in mind that potential for quarter-size hail, even pea-size hail is going to be there. Some of it will melt as you're still sitting in the 60s as of this moment. And then we're going to be keeping an eye on anywhere from Badger to Allendale for that chance for more of that rotation to move your way and also some of those strong wind gusts. So let's take a closer look at what we're dealing with in terms of the wind within this severe thunderstorm and within this tornado warning, because a lot of this wind is over our heads. The question is, can this storm tap into it and bring it further towards the ground? So far, we haven't seen that materialize, but check out that rotation going on right there. We're seeing that now past Magnolia, south of Wards, just moving towards the Allendale area. This is where that rotation is continuing to happen, where we're still seeing that potential for some of those stronger wind gusts in those particular spots. So anywhere from Wards to Allendale to Badger to Bengals to Attila, you need to be weather aware. You need to be getting into your tornado safe spots as of this moment. I'm going to try to zoom in a little bit more to get a closer look at some of those roads to name those off for you so you have a better idea of what's happening in your area as of right now. We are continuing to watch. This tornado warning goes for another 30 minutes for those of you in very southern, I mean like very southern LaRue County, northern Hart County, and just to the south of Mount Sherman. We're keeping an eye on 61. So for those of you who live along 61 in Greene County. This is where we could see some of that moving quickly into your area. These thunderstorms have been racing at about 50 to 55 miles per hour as they push towards the east, so they're moving very, very quickly. For those of you in Bloyd towards Hibernia, you need to be in your safe space right now. Same thing for those of you from Badger to Maple to Mac to Allendale to Coakley. You're also underneath this tornado warning. Anywhere towards Mac and Pittman, you need to be in your safe space. Right along 569 and 61. For those of you in northern Greene counties, you need to be watching that. And then for those of you in Taylor County, right along 210. This is where you can see the impacts from this as well. This is basically our second tornado warning in our area for the morning, as we've been dealing with so much of that strong wind, all because of this. This is the warm front that is off towards our north as of right now, and now we have a tornado watch that just got issued for our southernmost counties as well. So that's another thing that we'll have to keep an eye on. That tornado watch is going to last for a few more hours that we'll have to keep an eye on for this morning. So that warm front that I showed you, just draped along 64. We have all that wind energy, all that warmth. For those of you further to the south, those of you south of the parkways right now, you're sitting well into the 60s. So there is that energy, that moisture for this to tap into. And I'm also watching that tornado warning for those of you south of Grayson County, because this could impact Hart County as well for the morning hours. So that one will go for another half an hour as well. And we'll see if that's able to hold together as the next half an hour goes along, as it moves a little bit closer into Hart County. So this is just one section of wave country dealing with it. For those of you from the Metro North, you're in the clear, you're fine. Southern Indiana, you're in the clear, you're just fine as well. And for those of you in Grayson County, we're watching things quiet in your area. So you can see a full look at the radar just off towards my right there, where you're seeing Southern Indiana calm, quiet. A few spotty showers in the Louisville Metro. Your morning commute going to go just fine. Wet roads in your area. But anywhere south of the parkways is where we're now tapping into a little bit more of that energy right now, where we have some of those stronger winds going on right now, and we have those multiple tornado warnings. So that tornado warning, that's for those of you just to the south of Grayson County. That one goes until 5:45 a.m. Central Time, and the reason why I'm watching it is because it's racing so quickly towards Hart County. I don't want to forget it at all, as we could see certainly some of the strong winds, the heavy rain, the hail with it as it moves towards the Munfordville, the Horse Cave area. So we are watching that closely. Still keeping an eye on what's going on for those of you from Magnolia over towards Coakley, with that tornado warning that is ongoing as of that moment. So let's get back to that, because we are continuing to keep an eye on some of that rotation that's still looking pretty impressive in that particular spot as of this moment. It looks like it's now moved, based on the radar from what I'm looking at, it looks like it's now into the northern parts of Greene County. So that just kind of shows you how quickly this has been moving off towards the east. And that backs it up right there, is where you see the little reds, where you see the greens going on right now. That is where we have the core of that rotation. The National Weather Service has trimmed off that tornado warning a little bit more. For those of you further to the west of Magnolia, in terms of the tornado warning, you're in the clear. Some of the heavier rains, some of those gustier winds is still in your region though. We're watching anywhere from Coakley, as I mentioned, to Campbellsville. So northern Taylor County, you need to be in your safe space as of right now, because this is moving around 50 to 55 miles per hour. We also have an additional severe thunderstorm warning that they have issued for the northern portions of Hart County and central Greene County. And we're going to be keeping an eye on these until about 6:30 a.m. Eastern time. So that's another 20 minutes on all of these warnings that we're going to be watching very closely for this morning. And on top of that, we have, of course, that tornado watch that has just been issued for the southern portions of wave country. But there is quite a bit of rotation going on with this thunderstorm right now for those of you in northern Greene County. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more, because that is a bit concerning. Now, keep in mind, since this is a little bit further to the, so this is where, I should draw it for you right there. This is where we are seeing that rotation going on as of right now. And what we're dealing with, for those of you a little bit further to the south, is a lot of that heavy rain, the gusty winds. On top of all of that, there is that potential for some quarter-sized hail as well embedded in this thunderstorm. So for those of you south of Attila, this is where we have that rotation going on. It's moving very, very quickly. So heads up for those of you in the northern portions of Taylor County. You're going to be dealing with this within the next 20 really within the next 10 minutes, you could see this moving into your area. So this is something that we have to watch very, very closely. If this will work with me here, there we go. So we're going to continue to keep an eye on those of you basically north of Coakley, right along 210 towards Badger and Bloyd. If you're in those spots, you need to be in your safe space as of right now, because this is racing towards you. You may not actually have that tornado on the ground, but you can still see those 60, 65 mile per hour wind gusts in that, and straight line wind can do damage on its own. So I don't want to discount that at all. For those of you in Magnolia, you're still underneath the severe thunderstorm warning, but you are now in the clear in terms of the tornado warning. Same thing for those of you in Mount Sherman. Going to continue to watch everything going really quickly off towards the east, and we're watching what's happening further to north. Quiet conditions there, but notice we still have 2 tornado warnings in our area. One technically in Wave Country, that's the Greene and Taylor County one, but we are continuing to watch what's happening just to the south of Grayson County as well, because that could impact pretty substantially Hart County as it moves in, because these storms have been moving pretty quickly. Good news is that once we get past around 7:30, these are going to race out of our region and give us a little bit of a break before we see more of those showers and thunderstorms coming back into our area for later on today, and some of those could be on the stronger side yet again. For those of you just waking up and tuning in, southern Indiana, you have clouds overhead. You are quiet. The rain chances are done for you as of right now. Still some areas of drizzle showing up in parts of the metro. We're watching that, but overall, metro in the clear. Now we're going to continue to keep an eye on everything going on. Storm Tracker is out on the roads in the metro right now, and what we're seeing, if you look off towards my left, this is where you're seeing the Storm Tracker. You're seeing using those windshield wipers as of right now. Still some ponding possible, and some of the roadways from the rain that we saw overnight, that can slow down your morning commute. If you hit one of those puddles, could cause some issues, so take it slow this morning. Also keeping an eye on some of our SkyTrack cameras as well in this area, and we're going to be continuing to keep an eye on the rain coming down for those of you a little bit further to the north, mainly in the form of spotty showers. But that main concern south of the parkways, our southernmost counties, is where we have these tornado warnings, going on as of this moment. So let's zoom back in. The Greene and Taylor tornado warning, that goes for another 8 minutes, and we are watching the one for those of you from portions of Hart County that's just off to your west. So this is that line that continues to race quickly off towards the east. As I mentioned, if you're watching earlier, around 50 to 60 miles per hour. That's how quickly these are moving this morning as they just ride just to the south of the front. So I am still keeping an eye on this tornado warning for Butler and Edmonson counties, just because it's pushing towards Hart County, and that could potentially be extended as well in that area. So that's a little bit of something that we'll have to continue to watch as it moves just to the north of Brownsville. So for those of you anywhere in Hart County, from Munfordville, especially to Horse Cave, I'm giving you that heads up as of right now because of this quickly moving towards your area as of this moment. And just checking out that velocity within that, yeah, we're seeing some of that rotation just to the north of Brownsville. So those of you from Munfordville south, just keep an eye on that severe thunderstorm warning, tornado warning, and honestly, I would feel a lot better if you got in your safe space as of right now with that rotation that we're seeing there. We'll watch to see if that holds together. We're still continuing to watch a little bit more of what's going on for those of you in portions of Greene and Taylor counties. Just got word that there's no damage in Taylor County as of right now. Let's see if this will work with me. Here we go. So we're going to just zoom in a little bit more. Oh, it doesn't like me. We're going to try to zoom in a little bit more. There we go. And the northern portions of Greene and Taylor counties of what we're dealing with in terms of that rotation. So now that is closer to Badger and Mac. That is where we're seeing some of the stronger winds and that potential for that tornado moving through your area as of this moment. Also keeping an eye on Willowtown. For those of you in Willowtown, this is moving towards you. Bengal, Saloma, Findlay, if you're in that area, if you're south of New Market, right along 289, this is where we still have that tornado warning that is going to be moving towards you. So we're going to be keeping an eye on that. And it looks like they're going to really cut off the western portions of this tornado warning and keep it going all the way until 6:30 a.m. Eastern Time, 5:30 Central Time. This is all quickly moving off towards east. Thankfully, just got word No damage in Greene County either this morning. So a lot of that wind is at the upper levels of the atmosphere, but it doesn't look like as it's quite reaching the ground as of just yet. So we'll have to watch that. But for those of you in northern Taylor County, this is the point of focus from Badger to White Rose to Willowtown to Saloma. This is where we're seeing that better potential for some of that rotation, that potential for that tornado moving through your area right now. So anywhere along 210, north of 323, and for those of you in the 289 area, even if you're along 68, Highway 68, you want to make sure that you are in your safe space as of right now, as this is moving very, very quickly towards you. On top of all of this, some of these can produce some small hail as they move through. So that's something else that we'll have to keep an eye on, all a part of this massive system that's draped across our area. We're going to keep that potential for some of these thunderstorms through about 8 o'clock this morning for our very southern counties, and we'll watch for if any of them remain to be on the stronger side. Now, for those of you a little bit further to the north, you are quiet for now. We do have another chance for some of those stronger thunderstorms later on today. The storm tracker is still out on the road right now, traveling on 65. We are still seeing that light rain falling in the metro, and we know light rain on the metro can cause issues of its own, so take it slow as you're heading out this morning. But anywhere north of the parkways, you're in the clear in terms of severe weather. Grayson County, you're in the clear. Hardin County, you're in the clear as well. We're watching Hart County, Greene County, Taylor County, and then for those of you in Adair County, you've been quiet for most of the morning, but I need you to start paying attention because these are going to be racing into your area within the next half an hour to an hour. The question is, will they still be on the stronger side as they move towards you? That's entirely there. And for those of you tuning in right now, wondering why I'm talking about this tornado warning as long as I am, well, we are legally required to do so until the tornado warning is over. So that is what I'm going to continue to do until it is done. So everyone, no matter where you are in wave country, can stay safe. So we have that tornado warning for Edmonson County. We're watching to see if it holds on as it moves towards Hart County. So Hart County, I am keeping a very close eye on you. Also watching the northern portions of Taylor County, watching you very closely because we're still dealing with some of that rotation in your area as of right now as well. That could be with some of that potential tornado. So this is all radar indicated. We haven't gotten any reports of actual damage across wave country as of right now. We haven't gotten any reports of any even hail with some of these thunderstorms so far, but just because we have that chance with all that rotation, with all the strong wind above our head, we're being safe. We want to make sure that we are watching everything for everyone here in wave country. So let's talk a little bit more about that Greene and Hart County tornado warning that we currently have in place. It's for those of you in the very northern portions of Greene County and Taylor County. This is where we have been seeing some of that rotation. Let's check to see if it looks as impressive as it did earlier. So we're going to continue to watch a lot of heavy rain as well with this. You've seen a decent amount of rain, so some localized flooding, certainly a concern. That the rotation not looking as impressive, but it's still there a bit towards that MAC area. So we're going to be keeping an eye on that for those of you in that spot. I'm also keeping an eye on what's happening for those of you a little bit further to the west in Hart County. Let's check on that storm as well, that tornado warned storm that is in your area, as that's just off towards your west. As of right now, seeing a lot of strong wind gusts with those thunderstorms currently moving into Hart County, but we still have that Edmonson County tornado warning, and yes, I'm still seeing that rotation going on there near Lindsayville. So we're going to be watching that as it moves towards you this morning. So a lot to watch in terms of these multiple tornado warnings and multiple severe thunderstorm warnings that we have in place across our area for this morning. So here's that wide look at the radar as of right now, and here's what we're continuing to deal with. The line of showers and thunderstorms for those of you south of the parkways. So it's mainly the south of the parkways that we continue to keep an eye on as of right now for the damaging wind threat, the potential for very heavy rain, the potential for those 60+ mile per hour wind gusts, the potential for some hail with some of these as well for the morning hours. And I cannot discount that chance for a little bit of isolated flooding either, since we have seen a decent amount of rain so far with this system, with the rain that we got overnight and the rain that we're seeing right now for those of you further to the southeast. So we're keeping an eye on all of that. Those are some of the things that we're going to be watching throughout the rest of the morning. It may take until about 7:30, 8 o'clock for this line to completely exit our region. So I'm going to be on as long as I have to be to make sure that you are all staying safe. So let's continue to keep an eye on what we're dealing with for those of you south of the parkways. We have one severe thunderstorm warning and 2 tornado warnings. 1 tornado warning is technically in our area as of this morning, as of this moment, and we're keeping an eye on everything. So we are not getting any reports of damage out of Edmonson County, which is really good news. No damage from Greensburg either. Hart County still working to get a little bit more information from your area as we're keeping an eye on that tornado warning off to your west and the severe thunderstorm warning that you have in place as of right now. So let's just zoom in a little bit more to what we're dealing with for those of you further to the south. You see that line of thunderstorms draped anywhere from Campbellsville over towards Brownsville. This is the reason that we've had the multiple warnings for tornado warnings and severe thunderstorm warnings so far this morning. For those of you right now in parts of Taylor County, this is where we're watching some of that rotation still holding on, and looks like some of that has moved out of the tornado warning. Seeing some strong wind now towards Newmarket, just south of Newmarket and towards Spurlington. So we're going to be keeping an eye on that. The rotation in this area not looking as impressive. There we go. So yeah, we're seeing that showing up a little bit more towards Saloma. This is where we're dealing with some of that rotation going on as of right now. I'm going to circle it for you right there. For those of you who may be colorblind, we have the Saloma area dealing with that rotation. This is moving right past 289 right now towards the Finley area. We're keeping an eye on those of you in Phillipsburg and Spurlington. No word on how much longer they're going to keep this tornado warning in place since this is moving so quickly. So we're watching that. Also keeping an eye on some more rotation. For those of you a little bit further to the west, we're watching that happening right along 61 and 556. For those of you closer to Bloyd and Allendale, I want to give you a heads up here. This is potentially moving your way, some strong wind gusts in that area as well. We haven't had any reports of these tornadoes actually touching the ground as of right now, so we're going to be keeping an eye on that. The newsroom continuing to make some calls and keep you informed in that way. Also, we are watching the areas in Hart County, anywhere from Bonnyville to Litchfield Crossing to Linwood and over towards Eve, because you're dealing with a severe thunderstorm warning all on your own. And keep in mind, straight line winds can cause issues as well. And that's what I want to make sure that you are aware of. You got 60-mile-per-hour winds within the thunderstorm that is now moving through Hart County. No, it is not a tornado warning. There is that potential for strong winds, though, and that's something we'll have to continue to watch. Also seeing some more of those strong winds showing up still in Edmonson County as it's pushing a little bit closer to the southern portions of Hart County. So waiting to see if they're going to extend that tornado warning into southern Hart County over the next potentially 15 minutes. So multiple tornado warnings, multiple severe thunderstorm warnings. Actually, just one severe thunderstorm warning in place that goes from Munfordville over towards Greensburg. That severe thunderstorm warning is well ahead of the strong winds that we're seeing in that area, and also the potential for a little bit of hail. Let's dive into that hail potential. Seeing a little bit more so with that Edmonson County storm, but for the other ones, not seeing anything on the radar that indicates that chance for some of that hail. Is really the wind and the rotation that we're seeing in Edmonson County and over in the portions of northern Greene and northern Taylor County. So yeah, we're keeping an eye on multiple clusters of strong wind in all of those spots. This is the radar as of right now. On top of all of this, you're seeing some very heavy rain, anywhere from B to Phillipsburg. So we have to keep an eye on what's going on in those spots, because a heavy rain on its own, as you're driving, you will not be able to see if there is a tornado actually on the ground. Thankfully, we haven't gotten any reports of that. We haven't gotten any reports of damage so far. The only issue that we've had so far this morning was the lightning that struck a home in LaRue County, and we're still working and got a little bit more information on that. So if the newsroom is listening, if we can get a little bit more information on that, hopefully everyone is A-okay. I think that's the big part. Hopefully that's what we want to know, if everyone is A-okay with that. But just taking a wider look at the radar, this is the only cluster of thunderstorms that we have going on as of right now. The rest of wave country is quiet. So it's just our southernmost counties that we have to keep an eye on with these strong thunderstorms, because there's just so much of that wind going on above our heads with that warm front that's sitting just along 65. This is why that severe threat we've been talking about for the past couple of days is mainly for those of you further to the south, because you're south of that warm front. You're able to tap into that wind. You have plenty of that warmth across your area as well. Let's talk about the warmth, by the way. I'm just going to bump in those temperatures so you can see what these storms are feeding off of. We have those low to even mid 60s across parts of our southern counties, while those of you further to the north are sitting in the 40s as of right now. So that's why those of you further to the north are quiet compared to areas further to the south in parts of Greene, Taylor, Adair County. So they are going to continue the tornado warning in the Hart County. This is what I expected with that looking as organized as it did as it pushed off towards the east. So that new tornado warning now goes for those of you in Hart County until 6 a.m. Central Time. So that's 7 a.m. Eastern Time. We're watching anywhere from Mumfordville to Horse Cave to Hardeeville and towards Seymour for those of you further into Hart County, as we keep an eye on that potential for some pea-sized hail as well with this, and some 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. So this has been that system, that thunderstorm that's been moving through portions of Edmonton County over the past half an hour. You can see now with that rotation getting a little bit closer towards Mammoth Cave, and we'll be keeping an eye on this as it races off towards the east. So for those of you anywhere from B to Horse Cave to Mumfordville to Hardeeville, I need you in your safe space right now. Some of this wind, yes, mainly has been elevated so far this morning, but just in case it reaches the ground, I need you in your safe spaces. We also have, of course, that severe thunderstorm warning for those of you in the more northern portions of Hart County as of right now. And I have not forgotten about you in Greene County or into Taylor County either, as you're also seeing some of those stronger wind gusts there. So I'm going to keep an eye on what's happening there. Still seeing some of those strong winds now towards Bloyd and Saloma. So they have trimmed back that tornado warning just a bit, and it looks like they're going to expire it too. So there we go. That's some good news there. We're going to continue to keep an eye on this tornado warning for a little while longer. It goes until 6:45, by the way. So we're watching that one, not as strong for those of you in Bloyd, towards Bloyd and Saloma, so the northern portions of Taylor County. But we're still going to keep an eye on that potential for some 40, 50, 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts embedded in this. Now we're going to be shifting gears, not looking as much as the one in Taylor County, but also going to be keeping an eye on Hart County a little bit more. You have quite a bit of heads up in your area, thankfully, with this tornado warning that's well ahead of the actual rotation that we are seeing moving just to the north of Mammoth Cave. So in between B and Mammoth Cave is where that rotation is showing up right now there on that velocity. It's going to march off towards the east, and we're going to keep an eye on that tornado warning for those of you further to the south for a little while longer as we watch these thunderstorms racing through wave country. So let's talk a little bit more about what we're seeing on the wide scale, I get my words out this morning, on the wide scale for us here in wave country. We have been dealing with that warm front that I've been mentioning a lot. We have been seeing a little bit more of that rain, that heavier rain. Some of you further to the north, you were dealing with some heavy rain, a lot of lightning, even some of that fog earlier this morning. And we are continuing to keep an eye on some of that patchy dense fog for those of you further to the north, not looking as widespread as it did earlier because of those showers and thunderstorms that rolled through that are now impacting our southernmost counties. So it is really the southern parts of wave country that we're continuing to keep an eye on. Our storm tracker is out on the road, focusing in on the metro as of right now to see if we have any issues there. Thankfully, we do not. The roads are wet though. So for those of you further to the north, even though it may not be actively raining in your area in terms of heavy rain, you're still probably dealing with some of that drizzle, some of that spray, and you want to make sure you're taking it slow, because sometimes people tend to be overconfident when the roads are wet and we only have a little bit of drizzle in the area. So I want to make sure I give you the heads up there. But the focus still continues to be for those of you further to the south. It's that last bit of thunderstorms that we have to deal with. This is just the morning round that we're seeing across the area. Now, keep in mind, we could see additional showers and thunderstorms showing up for later on this afternoon. And for those of you south of the parkways, they do have that potential to produce more of that hail, strong wind, and a spit-up tornado. So let's talk about the new severe thunderstorm warning that just popped in. It is for those of you in Taylor County. So we're going to be keeping an eye on that for those of you in southern Taylor County and southern Marion County, and northern Taylor County, watching for that potential for some rotation with this one as well. Wind speeds of 60 miles per hour possible with this, and we could see some pea-sized hail with this thunderstorm as it races off towards the east. So Mansville, Bradfordsville, and anywhere in between, you need to be weather aware. We're still watching that tornado warning though off towards your west, and we have to see if that holds on as it marches towards your area. So you're kind of getting that heads up out ahead of that tornado warning that's still going on for those of you in Taylor County and parts of northern Greene County. So we're watching that very closely. It does look like that is going to be allowed to expire. So that's good, good news. I'm seeing 3 to 4 reports of power lines down in the southern portions of Hardin County. So that is the first bit of reports of damage that we're seeing across parts of the area. Shannon, if you keep an eye on the National Weather Service chat so we can keep an eye on some of that damage happening for those of you further to the south. So only some reports of power lines down in the southern parts of Hardin County, so we'll be keeping an eye on that. And we're still watching that tornado warning for those of you in portions of Hart County. From Bonneville south towards Horse Cave is where we're seeing some of that rotation going on as of right now, and we'll be continuing to keep an eye on that for this morning as that continues to roll through. So let's talk about that tornado warning that is in place for those of you a little bit further to the south in Hart County. We've been watching this storm as it tracked through Edmonson County, and I did mention that they could extend that tornado warning into Hart County, and that is exactly what they did. So here's where we're seeing some of that rotation going on as of this moment.
As you're looking that up, Tawana, I can let you know that we in Hardin County, they are saying they have several reports, 3 or 4 reports of power lines down in the southern part of Hardin County. So that's what they're looking at there.
So that was from some of those storms that we saw earlier this morning that were severe thunderstorm warned and tornado warned. So this is that cluster of wind that we're keeping an eye on, quickly moving past B. I'm giving you a heads up right now for those of you from Forestville to Northtown. This is where we're watching that wind moving towards you pretty quickly. From Munfordville right along 31W, for those of you traveling anywhere between Munfordville and Horse Cave on 31W, heads up as of right now. 335 in Hart County, 218 in Hart County, even all the way over towards 31 East in Hart County. You want to make sure that you are paying attention to the strong wind and this tornado warning that is in place. I haven't gotten any word of if the sirens are going off, but this is one of those moments that are just to remind you, this is why you need to have multiple ways to get alerts as we deal with situations like this this morning. We are keeping an eye on a lot of rotation, a lot of rain, a lot of wind across parts of our southern counties. The rest of Wave Country, if you are north of the parkways, you are just fine. As of right now, you are quiet, you are in the clear. I'm just going to break down a little bit more of where we're seeing quiet conditions. Grayson County, you're in the clear. LaRue County, you're in the clear. Hardin County, you are in the clear. You've had some reports of damage, but you are in the clear. We're continuing to watch our northern portions of Greene and Taylor counties. So let's just break down a little bit more about these warnings that we have in place as of right now. First, let's talk about the severe thunderstorm warning for the southern portions of Marion County and northern parts of Taylor County. This will go until 7:15 a.m. Eastern time. So that's what we're watching there. Now for the tornado warning that we're seeing, mainly focused in on Taylor County as of right now, that tornado warning is with that potential for some quarter-sized hail. This will be pushing through your area. It's moving very quickly at 45 miles per hour. We're going to be keeping an eye on this as well as it moves a little bit closer to the Badger and Sonoma areas for this morning. So a lot to watch with that one. That one is going to expire in about another minute. So that's some good news there. We have this other severe thunderstorm warning that stretches from parts of Hart County into Greene County. This one will go until 5:45 a.m. Central Time as you deal with quite a bit of that rain, that quarter-sized hail, the 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. The other thing that we're keeping an eye on, of course, the main focus as of right now is the tornado warning for those of you in Hart County, and we are watching this racing very quickly to the east. It is currently moving east at 45 miles per hour, and we have that potential for some small hail, those 60+ mile per hour wind gusts, and of course, the main focus, that potential for tornado. So let's look at the velocity once again to see what's going on inside this storm. You can clearly see that rotation going on just to the west of Forestville and Northtown. If you have any friends or family that typically take 65 in Hart County this morning at this time of the morning, call them, give them a heads up that this is going to be moving quickly towards the east, through Hart County towards 65. So this is a concern because at this time of the morning, there's a lot of people heading to work. There's a lot of people traveling. We have a lot of semis on the road at this time of the morning. So if you have any friends or family traveling along 65, anywhere in between Munfordville and down towards that Horse Cave exit, give them a heads up that this is quickly moving towards the east because, of course, not everybody is watching TV. Not everybody has wave weather alerts across the area as of right now. And just a reminder for those of you watching, for those of you further to the north, we are keeping an eye on this tornado warning until it ends. Even just saw a message from somebody who just sent me a message saying that to get off air. I'm not going to until this is done. We have that potential for hail. We have that potential for a tornado on the ground. And because of that, I'm going to stay on air as legally required as well until this tornado warning is over. And it will end in 15 minutes. So as long as this is going on, I'm going to stay on air this morning. We're continuing to keep an eye on everything going on in terms of the radar. Metro, you're all good. We still have some drizzle going on in that area as of this moment, but mainly focused in, once again, on a tornado warning for those of you in Hart County, and also that severe thunderstorm warning for those of you in very eastern Taylor County and southern portions of Marion County, where we have had some reports of some damage in southern Hardin County as of right now, and our newsroom is doing a great job calling and getting a little bit more information on what we've seen so far. Thankfully, no additional reports of issues in LaRue County, which is good news. We did have that one house that was struck by lightning and had a house fire. Thankfully, no other damage reports for LaRue County. We're still working to get any reports from Hart County. If our newsroom can check in with Greene County and Taylor County and see if they had any issues with that tornado warning that moved through their area. They're still seeing some heavy rain. They're still seeing some of those strong winds too. So we will be watching it throughout the rest of the morning. So we have this tornado warning in place for a little while longer. We're going to be continuing to keep an eye on it as it marches pretty quickly to the east, moving right now at 45 miles per hour. Also keep in mind, we do have that tornado watch that is in place until 11 a.m. for our southernmost counties. So that tornado watch is for those of you in Hart, LaRue, in Washington, Marion, Greene, Taylor, and Adair counties until 11 a.m. Keep in mind, those storms are expected to move out before 11 a.m., which is good news. But until that point, we still have that tornado watch in place for those of you there. And on top of that, of course, we have the tornado warning, and we have that severe thunderstorm warning in place for those of you in Hart County and parts of Marion and Taylor counties as well. So we've been watching so much this morning. For those of you further to the north, I'm going to give a wide view. So if you're just waking up with us, you're just tuning in, and you're further to the north of the parkways, if you're wondering what is going on, you are quiet from anywhere from Bardstown to E-Town and north. You are quiet. You are entirely in the clear. The metro is in the clear. It does look like they're going to, they have consolidated, they have cut off the more western portions of that severe thunderstorm warning for Greene and Hart County. So that is some good news there. That has been allowed to expire, but we still have to keep an eye on the 2 warnings that we still have in place, and I'm going to stay on air until the very end of it. In terms of that severe thunderstorm warning, for those of you further to the east in Marion County and into Taylor County, we're watching that pea-sized hail threat. We're watching that potential for 60-mile-per-hour winds embedded in that, and keep in mind, 60-mile-per-hour winds on their own can cause issues. So we want to make sure that you are well aware of what's going that way. Excuse me. We're also keeping an eye on what's going on in terms of that tornado warning. It has been trimmed back. If you are in Hart County, I need you to get in your safe space as of this moment, especially if you're right along that 65 corridor in Hart County. This is where we continue to watch this strong thunderstorm with that potential for a tornado, which is why we have a tornado warning moving into and through your area as of right now. So focusing in on what we're dealing with. For those of you from Mumfordville to Horse Cave, right along 65, this is where we're seeing the most of that rotation as of right now. In fact, it is currently traveling right over 65. So I'm going to, on my personal computer over here, keep a close eye on the Trimark cameras in that area to see if we see anything passing over the roadway in that spot. I am seeing quite a few vehicles in that area. The newsroom can certainly do the same and keep an eye on those cameras. But as of right now, I'm not seeing anything happening on those Trimark cameras in that spot. But we're watching that rotation right now, right along 65 in Hart County, just to the north of Horse Cave. For those of you who live right along 31 West in Hart County, or even towards 31 East in Hart County, this is where we're keeping an eye on more of that rotation moving through in your region. And we're going to be watching everywhere from Canmore to Hardyville down towards Three Springs for the potential for this to move into your area as well. So we have this new, here we go, tornado warning that just popped in. And this is for those of you a little bit so it's just outside our wave country, but it is including the very, and I mean the very eastern parts of Marion County is included in this. And this is where we're seeing that little bit, excuse me, that little pocket of rotation as of right now showing up right to the west of Chilton. This is where we are watching that rotation going on as of this moment. A lot of this wind is elevated, and these tornado warnings and the severe thunderstorm warnings are coming out because of that potential for some of that rotation to reach the ground. We have not gotten any reports of any damage in Taylor and Greene counties either, so that is some good news as of right now. But our team continues to be out there and is working, is continuing to get a little bit more information on this. So the entire WAVE team currently working on trying to get more information on potential damage or whatnot moving through parts of our area. So for those of you in very eastern Marion County, this is where we're still seeing some of that rotation going on, just moving towards Chilton. So that's going to be out of Marion County within the next 5 minutes, which is good news. But you still have some of that strong wind from Mansville to Bradfordsville in your area. So it doesn't need to be a tornado warning for there to be damage. Our main focus continues to be what's going on right along 65 in Hart County. This is where I'm looking at even Trimark seeing some slow speeds in that area, as potentially people are driving closer to that rotation, to that strong wind, and slowing down. So if our news team can get that Tri-Mark camera for Hart County up, the one at the 73rd mile marker, that would be a very good view to see what's going on there, because I am seeing a lot of heavy rain and some slow speeds in that area. This is all part of that massive system that's currently moving across the Ohio Valley that has been responsible for all of the wind and the rain that we are seeing as of right now. And this is all part of that warm front that is sitting across our region. This is why we have been dealing with these multiple tornado warnings, these multiple severe thunderstorm warnings, and why we have that tornado watch in place, because south of that warm front, the atmosphere and these thunderstorms have been able to tap into some of that strong wind, that jet stream. That jet is going overhead as of right now, and that is, some of it is trying to reach the ground, which is most likely why we had some of those power lines down in the southern portions of Hardin County earlier this morning. But it's most of Wave Country is quiet. For those of you from E-Town to Bardstown to Litchfield and north, you are quiet. But I'm not going to forget about our friends further to the south of the parkways, because they deserve to get their information as well this morning. So once again, just breaking down what we have going on in terms of what's happening right now across Wave Country. From Hart County to Greene and Taylor counties, we have this line of strong thunderstorms moving through your area. We have multiple warnings. We do have that tornado warning in the southern portions of Hart County. We also have that severe thunderstorm warning in the very eastern parts of Taylor County and southern portions of Marion County. I'm going to dive back into the velocity on this, because there's still some of that strong wind in Hart County. It looks like the rotation is now moved out of Marion County, so that's some good news for those of you there. But we are still seeing that couplet very clearly right now, right along 31 West for those of you in Hart County. So this is a bit concerning, continuing to see that showing up on the radar for as long as it has been. So I'm just going to give you a heads up for those of you in Greene County and Taylor County. You need to be watching this Hart County storm if this is able to hold on a little bit longer. We're continuing to watch some more of these strong wind gusts trying to even move through within those storms that are not severe as of this moment. But for those of you anywhere from Linwood to Hardeeville to LeGrand in Hart County, you need to be already in your safe space. Wickerville, Monroe, and in Hudgens, you are not in the tornado warning as of right now, but I'd like you to be paying attention as this is moving very quickly towards your area. We're also watching some of those strong wind gusts in Greene County, and we're just wanting to keep an eye on what's happening a little bit further to the west, giving you a heads up for those of you further to the east of what potentially may be coming your way. And something to note with this all going on as of right now, it does look like they have now issued another severe thunderstorm warning out ahead of that tornado warning. So they're trying to give you a heads up of the strong wind that's moving your way. So let's break down what we're dealing with in terms of that brand new severe thunderstorm warning that just came out. It now includes the very eastern portions of Greene County, I should say most of Greene County, and the very eastern portions of Hart County. We have that potential for a tornado because of what's happening further to your west. So they're giving you a bit of a heads up with the severe thunderstorm warning. There's also that potential for some quarter-sized hail with this as it moves through your area. So anywhere from Greensburg to Kemp, and further to the west towards Donnersburg, we're going to be keeping an eye on that. And we're watching what's going on in terms of the Tri-Mark cameras in Hart County. Mainly the one a little bit closer to, so it's the 54.8 for our newsroom, or 54.8 65 camera, where I've been keeping an eye on things. And I'm seeing some slow speeds right along 65 as well, right between that Horse Cave and Munfordville region, right where we were seeing a little bit more of that rotation going on in that area. So working to get any reports of any issues that have happened in that region. Also watching the Hardeeville area now, because this is where we're seeing some of that rotation quickly racing towards you. So let me just break down the roads of what where we could see some of the damage from some of this. So overall, we could see 31 west, 31 east in Hart County. This is where you could run into some of those stronger wind gusts in your region. So we still have that tornado warning for those of you still technically in place for the very eastern parts of Marion County, but the focus is the one in Hart County that goes for another 2 minutes. We'll see if they allow it to expire. If they do allow it to expire, we're going to hop off and allow the Today Show to continue. If they keep it going, then I'm going to stay on for the rest of it, because I want to make sure everyone who is within that potential for this storm to move over them can get the information they need and stay as safe as possible. So anywhere from that 31 west in Hart County all the way towards 31 east, this is where we could see a little bit more of what's going on in that regard. So we are keeping an eye on everything going on across our area in terms of these storms moving through. And so this is what it looks like right now. Seeing traffic looking pretty good overall. This is 65. This is right now what we're seeing. Olivia, if you can update this for me. This is 65 in Hart County. Traffic rolling pretty smoothly, but I'm seeing a lot of tail lights starting to pop up as people travel south in that area. So this is Trimark 1, Olivia. So we're going to be keeping an eye on that for this morning for any potential issues, but certainly people are slowing down in that area. So we haven't gotten any word of any issues on 65 in Hart County, but we are continuing to watch it. The whole team is here keeping an eye on everything. Thankfully, still not having any reports of any significant damage in terms of homes or anything like that, which is good news. So they have allowed that tornado warning for Hart County to expire. We still have that severe thunderstorm warning, though, for those of you further to the south in the eastern portions of Hart County and into Greene County. Let me dive into everything as of right now. And now that we have that tornado warning that was in our area allowed to expire, I'm going to do one quick run through to see how things are looking, and then we're going to go to the Today Show. So let's dive into what we have going on for those of you further to the south. We are watching Hart County, Greene County, Taylor County as of right now. This is where we're seeing the heavy rain, where we're seeing the gusty winds, and where we have been seeing some potential for some issues. So they still have that tornado possible on this severe thunderstorm warning for those of you in Hart County and Greene County. This is going to go until 6:30 a.m. Central Time. We are going to continue to keep an eye on certainly the velocities in this area, see how much of that rotation is still holding on. So let's look and see how things are looking right now. Still seeing some of that rotation going on in that storm, so I don't want to drop off of this just yet, because for those of you near DeFries, correct me if I'm wrong, just let me know. Hit me up on my DMs to let me know how to correctly say that. And north of Center, this is where we are continuing to watch a little bit more of that rotation going on within that storm, mainly a severe thunderstorm warning. With this, it goes for another half an hour. I'm going to hold on a little bit longer because I'm not entirely comfortable with the way that radar looks as of this moment. And this is just the last bit of these thunderstorms moving through our region right now, just the rest of it that we're dealing with. So we just have about 3 more counties left to go. So about another 45 minutes to an hour left to go within some of these thunderstorms for this morning. And the wonderful Ryan Hoke is in.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. You're up a little early.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, those tornado warning alerts buzzed my phone this morning. Like, ooh, I got to get in. Here's the deal, guys. Of course, we're kind of on the tail end of this severe weather event for our central and southern Kentucky counties here. We're going to give Tawana a little bit of a break here. But I want to take Weather 2 if I can, because Weather 2 has our current power outage numbers. We've been talking about lines down and a potential lightning strike versus house situation there. I believe that was in LaRue County. If the live stream I was watching here was, of course, what I heard. 48 customers out in LaRue County. That's about 1% of LaRue County without power. Hart, Kentucky, Hart County, about 2%. This includes like Munfordville, Horse Cave, areas where these storms are still going through, especially north of Horse Cave there. And hello, Spencer County, you have about 1% out, 53 customers. So none of these are super widespread. However, this is just enough of a punch from these storms to take down some of these power lines here. And of course, we're continuing to track the rotation in parts of southern Kentucky. Tawana was talking about just a minute ago how we didn't really want to go off the air air immediately upon the termination of this tornado warning in parts of Hart County because of what's going on inside that storm. Our kind of fear at this point is that they may try to reissue a warning here. And as I back up and kind of show you the rotation history here, thankfully it is still weakening, the rotation within this storm that has a severe thunderstorm warning on it as it moves towards Donensburg there. That's in Greene County. Hello, Greene County, Greensburg, Donensburg, Gresham. All you folks there need to be in your tornado safe place just in case. This is kind of a pre-tornado warning, if you will, here. The severe thunderstorm warnings with tornado possible tags on them there, as you see kind of in the fourth line of that white box there, indicating that we could have the potential there for a tornado warning any minute here if that continues to be a problem. And of course, we will continue to monitor the rotation within this. We've got to go down a radar site here and see that. But nonetheless, this is going to be an issue for folks in Greene County trying to wake up, trying to get ready for work and for school here. If you're in Greensburg, it's probably pretty loud with all the heavy rain going on down that way, right along Highway 68. And of course, I want to say hello to our folks up there in Taylor County, Campbellsville. You guys also have some heavy thunderstorms moving through. We're going to give this about another 5 minutes. I know folks are itching to see the Today Show. I get it. I've been there, but this is more important because folks' safety is in question here in our extreme southern Kentucky counties. We got to treat everybody equally here. This is our responsibility and our broadcast mandate from the FCC to make sure that we are protecting life and property of our viewers down there in southern Kentucky. So, Tawana, you have been on the air since about 5 a.m. with all of this. This has been a very long morning for our neighbors in southern Kentucky.
Yes.
Forecast unfolding about as it should. The only thing is this is extended a little later than expected here. It's 7:05, and we still got storms heading toward Adair County right now.
Yeah, but thankfully it doesn't look like this is going to last a whole lot longer, which is certainly some good news. So this will be the first batch of that rain moving out. I'm going to do a quick rundown of what we're seeing in other spots, by the way. We have been keeping an eye on some areas of patchy dense fog for those of you further to the north. Thankfully, that has really lessened compared to what we were dealing with around 4 or 5 o'clock, but we still have that dense fog advisory for those of you in our very northern counties until 9 a.m. And we've been keeping an eye on a lot of these cameras across our area to see what's going on. So just a breakdown of what we're expecting throughout the rest of the day. This is that last little bit of rain that we're accounting for this morning. So that's the morning batch. As we head over the next hour, that's going to drift out of our region and allow us to enjoy a little bit of dry time. Some of you will even see some sunshine. And then once we get into later on this evening, we could be doing this all again, unfortunately, as you can see some more of those showers and thunderstorms coming our way. We do have that marginal risk of severe weather for our southernmost counties yet again for those evening storms that we are watching for later on today. So a lot to keep an eye on as we continue throughout the rest of the morning, and we're going to be talking about a little bit more of that warmth. And a quick look at your 10-day, by the way, for those of you who have been waiting for this morning, we're going to keep that alert day as long as we have the severe weather in there, and we do have a tornado watch in place, by the way. And we're going to be continuing to watch some more showers and thunderstorms, some of which could be on the stronger side for Saturday too, before we could see some wintry weather as we get into next week. So for those of you who've been out and about and been waiting for that 10-day, there you go. But of course, the main focus is still what's going on for those of you further to the south in Greene County now. This is where we're continuing to watch what's going on there and watching very closely what's happening in terms of that rotation. Ryan, I see you looking at it. As of right now, it certainly does not look as impressive.
No, this
as it did.
This seems to be falling apart.
So that is some good news there. So now that we're seeing this falling apart a little bit more, just going to hold on for about 3 more minutes. And then once we get to 7:10, then we're going to drop off and allow everything to go back to the Today Show. So shout out to Ryan for waking up early and coming in to make sure that we can keep everyone as updated as possible. So we currently have 2 severe thunderstorm warnings in place across our area. That tornado warning, by the way, is just outside of our region, and we're going to be keeping an eye on everything going on. So it's that last little line, that last little bit of some thunderstorms for our very southern counties that we're continuing to monitor very closely for this morning. We haven't gotten a lot of widespread damage reports this morning, which is certainly some good news, but we're still keeping an eye on that strong wind. For those of you in parts of very southern Hart County and into Greene County, the severe thunderstorm warning goes until 6:30 a.m. Central Time, so 7:30 Eastern Time. And we're also watching those of you further to the east. This is going to be for those of you in southern Marion County and into northern parts parts of Taylor County. This is where we have that second severe thunderstorm warning. That goes until 7:15 a.m. There is still that potential for some pea-sized hail and some wind gusts near 60 miles per hour. There has been a little bit of rotation with this storm, but it does look like most of that is now off towards the east of wave country. So that is certainly some good news as you are heading out. Outside of this, we are seeing some pretty gusty winds within just right around that warm front where we're seeing a little bit more of that wind. Ryan, I see you looking at that this morning, and even that could cause some issues if anyone's driving a little bit higher profile vehicle this morning.
Right, 30-mile-per-hour gusts down there in Campbellsville right now. So yeah, take it easy if you're going to be on the roads this morning, especially down in southern Kentucky, even north of the warm front. Bedford, Jasper, Paoli, 20+ mile-per-hour wind gusts. E-Town, 25 miles per hour. This is not enough to do damage on its own here, but certainly could be a challenge to keep two hands on the wheel, keep things in the center of the lane there as you're heading, of course, to work and school. It's currently 7:09, bottom of the 7:09 minute here, Tawana. So it looks like things are starting to wrap up here for us with the tornado warning coverage.
Yes, so thankfully we just have those couple of severe thunderstorm warnings. You can always find the latest information on that in the Wave weather app. And Ryan and I are going to hop off, keep an eye on what's going to be coming our way for later on today. So we are going to be continuing to keep an eye on it. Thank you for trusting us here at Wave, and we're going to go to break so we can continue towards the Today Show.